Hey guys, welcome back for our second installment in homeschooling course. So we're going to talk about the different learning styles. I'm just going to do a quick intro before getting into it. There are actually seven different types of learning styles, and we are all a mix of learning styles. For Matthew, he's more of a kinesthetic or visual learner, and he's also a solitary learner. So there's four there's four main learning styles. There's the four main ones, which are the auditory, the visual, the kinesthetic, and the reading and writing. And then there's the three minor, which are the solitary, the social, and the logical. Like I said, you're usually a combination of them. And you can or cannot adapt. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. It's completely understandable, completely natural. So let's get into it. Hey guys, so if you haven't watched my other videos, I'm just going to do a quick background and then we're going to get more into the video. I'm a longtime homeschooler. We've been homeschooling for 6 years, but I've also been working with homeschool families since 2009. I've also been a preschool teacher and a nanny, and I'm a Minecraft certified teacher as well as a trained chef. So yes, I've made many different curriculums and I've used many different learning styles to help children. Now, I kind of emphasized how important this is, but there are so many different ways to adapt a lesson to your child. And it doesn't matter what your teaching style is. Knowing your child's learning style and how to help them where their strengths and their weaknesses are and what their interests are will benefit not only you, but your child as well. You don't want to be arguing with your child on school, right? Here's how I can help you figure out the best way for your child. So the first type is visual. This is what we're going to talk about first. Visual learners like to take notes. They are relatively unaware of sounds that are around them, and they can be distracted by a visual disorder or movement, say like lots of kids in the classroom. They solve problems deliberately, planning in advance and organizing their thoughts by writing them down. They like to read descriptions and narratives, and often they'll repeat that. So you may ask, okay, but how do I actually know that I have a visual learner? Well, let's see. Okay, so visual learners, their thoughts tend to wander during lectures. They're observant but may miss some of what is said. They're well organized. They like to read and show intense concentration. They're good spellers. They remember better by seeing, like charts and diagrams. They're good at concentration. They need to see directions but not hear them. They have really good handwriting. They're organized. They like to plan ahead. And they can remember faces but sometimes forget names. Hey, I've been there, right? That's okay. I'm a visual learner. They're also not really talkative. They have a lot of attention to details. Your child may excel in visual activities like art. Your child may enjoy books that include illustrations, like picture books. Your child, apologies, there's 2 repeats here. Your child may be interested in the world around them, and your child may need an example provided. Show them how to do that. That also helps a lot with kinesthetic learners. They need to see it, then do it hands-on. Our next learner is the kinesthetic learner. They tend to remember best what has been done, not what they've seen or talked about. They prefer direct involvement when what they are learning. They are distractible and find it difficult to pay attention to auditory or visual. They like to be hands-on. So cooking happens to be a really good way of doing things, or art projects. They like to be able to do it at the same time. These are the types of children that try to avoid reading. I have one of those. Doesn't matter that I read to him for 30 minutes every night and that I try to instill this. They don't like to read. They don't feel comfortable reading. That's not how they learn. Now, kinesthetic learners tend to move around a lot. They prefer not to sit still at all. That's very typical. They move while studying, so say they could be jumping on the trampoline and talking about a subject. We've totally done that. They like to participate in the learning. They like to be hands-on, like I said. They like to take initiative. They ask questions. They get excited to do projects. They like I said, they like to do things rather than read about them. I'm not saying to avoid reading, but like I said, they prefer not to read very much. And that actually affects their spelling. They don't like to spell very well either. So they like to choose clothes by comfort, and like I said, they like to take that initiative. Now, a lot of what I said also goes for what's called sensory processing disorder, or ADHD. These can very well look very similar, and some of your kids who have special needs, like on these diagnoses, Matthew has autism, ADHD, and sensory. That's okay. This tends to be how they learn. There's nothing wrong with that. And I'm not saying that you have to have a diagnosis to learn this way. That's not true. But just know that sometimes it can very well overlap. Our next learner is the auditory learner. They remember the names but forget faces. They are easily distracted by different sounds. And they tend to enjoy dialogue from, say, plays, but hate lengthy narratives and descriptions. Auditory learners benefit from that oral instruction, whether it's from you as a parent or from themselves. Sometimes they have to repeat themselves to remember, and that is completely okay. Okay, so auditory learners also tend to talk a lot. They talk to themselves, they like to sing, they enjoy the music, they like listening a lot. They do better with lectures and discussions, generally in a smaller setting. And they're the kids that tend to be more extroverted. But again, there's no one right learning style. This is really good for music. Music is a subject that you need to have that auditory skill. Reading and writing learner is the type of learner who needs to read or write down the information. They do well by using the traditional study method like traditional school, and they read from a textbook or a lecture and they write it down. This generally is good in usage, especially within college. College tends to use the reading and writing learners more so than any other type. They tend to remember information that they've read or written down. They normally enjoy reading in their free time, and they write very detailed notes. They prefer writing the essays than holding oral presentations, and their articulation is much better than others. Now, the logical learner is the child who tends to enjoy school activities such as math, computer science, technology, drafting, design, chemistry, and any other hard sciences. Logical mathematical learners prefer logical order of instruction and often work best in a solitary environment. These are the kids that do better in math, that tend to like to take things apart like computers and re-put them together, and are more scientific and mathematical. They respond better with using logic. They are natural tinkerers and builders. Like I said, they like to build computers. They enjoy bringing mathematical and conceptual ideas into reality with hands-on projects like computer design. They like creating electronic devices. Use all this to their advantage. These are all tools that they can use for their own successes. The social learner. They like to communicate with people, both verbally and non-verbally. They listen to you and come to you for advice and are sensitive to their motivations, feelings, or moods. You can listen well and understand others' views. You may even enjoy mentoring counseling others. The social learners do better within groups. That could mean a big group or even a small group, but they need connection. They need other kids around. This is why socializing, no matter what type of learning you're doing, is still important. If your kid is more on the solitary side, try one-on-one or smaller groups. Social learners prefer learning in those groups and classes, and they spend more one-on-one time with a teacher and instructor. They tend to be more helpful. They heighten learning by bouncing their thoughts off other people and listening to how the responses are. They like to work through their issues, ideas, and problems within a group setting. And they enjoy clicking with suggestions and people. They prefer social activities rather than doing their own thing, like sports or plays. Typically like games that involve other people, like card games and board games. And lastly, we have the solitary learner. They are more private and introspective and independent. They can concentrate well and focus their thoughts on feelings and on the topic. They are more aware of their own thinking, and they may analyze the different ways you think and feel. They do better with, say, journaling or having a vision board and rethinking their goals. They like to go back and look over what they've been able to do. So social learners like to self-analyze. They reflect back, like on past events. They ponder their accomplishments. They keep journals, they retreat to other places when they feel overwhelmed, and they just do better more one-on-one. That's completely okay, and sometimes those kids need it. There's nothing wrong with being a solitary learner. They tend to master what their interests are before moving on. So, what type of learner does your child connect best with? There are a few quizzes that are out there. I will link them down below. And if you have any questions or need to figure it out and still are wondering where you need help or are looking for those tools for success, I did mention a couple, let me know. Please, I'm here to help.